Hey, this is Brooke, functional medicine dietitian specializing in fertility, and this is the Fertility Dietitian podcast, where I help you uncover the barriers that are preventing you from optimizing your fertility and teach you how to work with your body to finally take home a healthy baby. Each week, I will be diving into different topics on fertility and sharing my perspective on physiology, metabolic health, nutrition, and lifestyle approaches that have helped hundreds of couples get pregnant even after years of heartache. My goal is to empower you with the knowledge you need to take back control of your fertility. Happy listening. In today's episode, we are going to talk all about AMH and how to increase it. Anti-Müllerian hormone, or AMH, is a hormone and it is variable. Your doctor may not have told you that before, but AMH is a hormone that is produced by developing follicles in a female, and it is used to determine the number of eggs that you have in a certain stage of development. So the more mature your eggs become, the less AMH they actually produce. This also means that if follicles are smaller than this stage of development, they are not producing AMH. And then if they are larger than this stage, they are also not producing AMH. This means that AMH is a pretty poor marker for overall ovarian reserve. Like all hormones, AMH is variable. I keep saying that, but I want you to hear it because it's often not information talked about at your doctor's office. There is this idea that if AMH is low, you won't be able to get pregnant, but this is very untrue. There is zero correlation between AMH level and natural conception. There is a correlation between AMH level and how you will respond to stimulation medications in an IVF setting. Okay, so if your reproductive endocrinologist is telling you that AMH is important for getting pregnant, they are not talking about natural conception. They are talking about how they might see you respond in an IVF setting. Our research even tells us, and this is a quote directly from a research article, AMH should not be used to make individual forecasts of menopause or fertile lifespan in the day-to-day clinical practice. So if you have had the fear of God put into you that you need to get pregnant yesterday because your AMH is so low, slow down. If you have low AMH, this does not mean you need to rush. It means you should pump the brakes and learn more about how your body is able to better nourish fertility. In practice, I see great improvements in AMH all of the time. I just reviewed labs with a client and her AMH has gone from a 0.7 to a 2.28 in just 6 months. We spent a lot of time focusing on her nutrient status and how safe her body is feeling to be able to support fertility. And those are two areas we always look at for everybody with fertility challenges, and certainly if AMH is low. My thought when I see a low or even a high AMH is let's dig deeper and learn why the body is having trouble supporting follicle development. Because AMH tells us nothing about why you are having trouble getting pregnant. It just tells us whether your body is having trouble supporting follicle development or not, but we have to dig deeper to learn the why. A few things that I see impacting AMH include inflammation, and that's a pretty broad term, but the type of inflammation I see often impacting AMH include things like low vitamin D status, cholesterol dysregulation, iron dysregulation that are contributing to certain types of inflammation. Also, any like metabolic disease, so blood sugar imbalance, insulin resistance are going to be contributing to inflammation as well. Things like thyroid dysfunction, even subclinical thyroid imbalance is definitely something we need to pay attention to. Overall nutrient status, and again, Vitamin D is a really important one for AMH here, as well as some minerals that impact what's happening with vitamin D metabolism and how your body is using it. Adrenal health is really important. This is because of how your adrenals are helping you respond to stress and your ability to adapt to stress. We need, whether it's internal stressors or external stressors, we need your body to feel safe enough to support reproduction. And if it's constantly in a stress state, that can be really challenging. Insulin and blood sugar balance is really important for what's happening with overall hormone balance and even what's happening with follicle development and therefore AMH production. And gut health. Gut health is always important. It can be a source of inflammation. It can also decrease how easily you are digesting and absorbing food, which impacts your nutrient status. So everything's very connected here, as it always is. We need to look at the body as a whole and not use AMH as one factor in the whole fertility puzzle. So I'm guessing your doctor probably hasn't shared any of this with you, and there's a good chance that they don't know this due to their training and background. But here's the thing. If your body doesn't feel safe or doesn't have the resources to support follicle development, your AMH is more likely to be lower than normal. If you have PCOS, you are more likely to have elevated AMH since you have a high number of young follicles that are having trouble fully maturing and ovulating consistently. And this is when cysts or the string of pearls that we see are typically seen. But a very similar approach is taken when there's an elevated AMH and a PCOS picture as well. So it can be changed. I support women with PCOS all of the time as well. And IVF is typically not part of that picture, nor are fertility medications typically needed in that setting either. So our reproductive system does not function in isolation. And if you're ready to dig deeper and start working with your body to support fertility, I would love to be there to support you. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fertility Dietitian podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review to let me know what topics you want more of or less of. If you want to keep learning, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out my website for more info on my private coaching program, Master Your Fertility, or my membership community, Fertility Blueprint. And don't forget my digital store. Come say hi on YouTube and Instagram. See you in the next episode.